right, we'll call the meeting to order at 4:55. Everybody's here, so we might as well get started as soon as we can. So first item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda as presented if there's no changes. Member Kent's.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Chris, you good? All those in favor? And then adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting on September 18th. Any errors or omissions there? Member Kent's.
Make a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? No? All those in favor? Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our first applicant here. Development permit for a daycare facility with parking variance. And who's presenting tonight? You are? There you go. Senior Officer Kirk is going to present. If you would, please.
Thank you, Chairperson Gullickson. So item 4.1 is a daycare facility with a parking variance at 5346 50th Avenue. So the property is owned residential detached district, R1, which provides an area for residential development in the form of detached dwellings and compatible uses. It's also part of the downtown area redevelopment plan, that DARP overlay, specifically the Old Town Main Street District residential, where the purpose is to facilitate the rehabilitation of existing buildings and the development of major additions and new infill in a manner that preserves, enhances, and celebrates the unique historical character of 50th Avenue. Administration does not support the application. So the Commission's decision tonight is a discretionary use daycare facility as well as a parking variance. So the bylaw does require 14 on-site parking stalls. The applicant is proposing 10 and requesting a 4-stall 29% parking variance. 22 property owners were notified. 2 responses were received in support and 2 were received in opposition. So one person just checked that they support the applications. Administration doesn't have a response to that. And another one is they support the application if the alley is paved. If it's not paved, then they're concerned that the large volume of traffic to the daycare will deteriorate the quality of the alley. Administration's response is, as the lane currently consists of a mix of deteriorated hard surfacing and gravel and is not maintained by the city, such as resurfaced, administration does recommend against lane paving. There were traffic concerns, so concern for increased traffic, and a recent traffic study of the area concluded that the back alley is currently at 80% capacity. Any increased traffic activity, especially a daycare, would overwhelm an already busy alley that is at maximum capacity. Administration's response that a high-level traffic review of the lane was conducted in 2021. The review indicated that there is parking available for 75 to 85 vehicles off the back lane, though not all may be currently in use. Traffic counts taken over 3 days indicated that the location sampled on the west side, 113 to 142 trips per day occurred. Assuming traffic is equal with both ends of the lane, the total count was approximately 230 to 280 vehicles per day. Based on parking spaces, 85 vehicles leaving and returning generated about 170 trips. This indicated that either vehicles are making multiple trips or there are 30 to 55 vehicles per day utilizing the lane for through traffic. And they were counted at both ends, so the number was divided by 2. I did check with engineering to see if this data was still relevant, and they confirmed that it is. No changes have been made to the alley or the street since this was conducted in 2021. And if MPC does approve the permit, administration recommends requiring the applicant to submit a traffic impact assessment to demonstrate that the lane can accommodate the proposed increase in traffic. There was alley safety concerns that the lane is narrow, vehicle congestion, access and egress, and poor vehicle and pedestrian interface will pose significant safety concerns, and that the city has no development plan in place to sufficiently address traffic and safety concerns. So administration's response is that administration is of the opinion that the proposed increase in traffic in the lane and limited site parking would pose additional vehicle congestion and safety concerns. So under the land use bylaw, MPC is authorized to consider and decide upon variances greater than 15% discretionary uses in any other application that the development officer brings forward. MPC can grant variances if they're satisfied the variance will comply with the Municipal Government Act, the Subdivision and Development Regulation, the Safety Codes Act, and any other applicable statutory plan or outline plans adopted by council. And MPC can approve an application even if it doesn't comply with the land use bylaw, as long as they feel the proposed development would not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood, would not materially interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring parcels, and if it conforms to the prescribed use for the subject parcel in the bylaw. Proposals, so there's operating hours of Monday to Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. There will be up to 90 children at maximum capacity. So full-time preschool, ages 3 to 6, up to 60 children from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Part-time preschool, ages 3 to 6, up to 11 children from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Out-of-school kindergarten, ages 6 to 7, up to 10 children from 11:15 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And out-of-school care for grades 1 to 6, ages 7 to 12, with up to 9 children from 2:50 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. There will be up to 15 staff members at maximum capacity, so that is 1 teacher per every 6 to 7 kids. Up to 4 parents may attend the site at the same time for pickup and drop-off, and all parking, drop-offs, pickups will be located in the rear of the lot. So history of the building, it started off as a place of worship, then became an outreach school, and last year, Council approved a site-specific amendment for transitional housing, and MPC approved the development permit, however, did not proceed. The building has since remained empty. The surrounding area currently consists of detached dwellings, multifamily dwellings, and commercial uses. You can see on this map here, the subject site has the yellow star in the middle of it. All the surrounding buildings around it are multifamily with a couple of commercial uses, and all other lots that are not marked are detached dwellings. Parking. So the bylaw requires a total of 14 on-site parking stalls. The applicant is proposing 10 stalls, which is shown in blue in the image on the screen, and a 4-stall 29% parking variance is being requested. Administration does not support the parking variance request for the following reasons. If the business operates at maximum capacity, that would be approximately 105 people attending the site, 90 children, 15 staff members, plus parents of the children. The applicant proposes that up to 11 children will be picked up at approximately 11:30 a.m., with up to 79 children being picked up at approximately 5:30 p.m. It is administration's opinion that 10 on-site parking stalls is not sufficient to accommodate the large amount of pickups that could take place at approximately 5:30. The site is unable to accommodate drop-offs and pickups from 50th Avenue due to it being an arterial road, so there's safety concerns there. The location of the crosswalk in front of the site and the close proximity of the 50th Avenue and 54th Street intersection. The site is limited to rear yard traffic only. That includes drop-offs, pickups, deliveries, etc., meaning all traffic will be accommodated through the lane and rear parking area where only 10 stalls are being proposed. Administration is of the opinion that vehicles may likely spill into the lane or the back alley, which would contravene the city's traffic bylaw as lane parking is prohibited. Administration has worked with the applicant on solutions to provide additional on-site parking. However, the applicant is proposing 10 vehicles and requesting the parking variance to ensure that the size of the proposed rear outdoor play space complies with the provincial regulations. And you will each have a printout from the letter of intent on the parking variance that further explains the reason behind wanting to keep that outdoor play area the size it is. Outdoor spaces. So the applicant is proposing a 480.72 meters squared, so that's just over 5,000 square feet, outdoor play area at the rear of the property as per provincial regulations, and a 180.52 meters squared, so just under 2,000 square feet, a garden area along the west side of the property. So you can see those areas in green. As the site is unable to accommodate provincial outdoor play space regulations without a parking variance, administration is of the opinion that the proposal is an over-intensification of the site. Downtown area redevelopment plan. So as I said, this property is located in the DARP overlay. The DARP does largely guide infill on new development, and this proposal deals with the reuse of an existing building. One of the policies of the DARP is to reinforce the historical significance of the area through the preservation or adaptive reuse of historic buildings. The building is not historical, meaning it's not provincially or municipally designated, but it has been sitting vacant for several years. So the adaptive reuse of the building would align with the intent of the DARP overlay by making use or reusing a viable building. However, administration is of the opinion that the site is not a suitable location due to the increase in traffic at the rear of the lot and limited on-site parking. Under the municipal development plan, the subject area is identified as general residential lands on the future land concept map. A policy GPD 4.5 states that the city shall promote development which occurs at efficient density levels to make maximum use of infrastructure, land supply, and public expenditures for maintenance and operations. Infill development and intensification within existing built areas should be encouraged to take advantage of existing municipal utilities and roads. Policy GPD 4.8 steers the city to recognize the changing needs and desires of a growing community and shall be receptive to development proposals and concepts that should help deliver the city's vision. While the proposal would utilize the existing building, take advantage of the existing infrastructure, and provide a needed service in the city of Lacombe, administration is of the opinion that the site is not a suitable location for the size of the daycare facility proposed due to the increase in traffic at the rear of the lot and limited on-site parking. So administration does recommend that the permit be refused for the following 6 reasons. Would you like me to read them out?
I don't believe that's necessary. After your presentation, I think it was very, very well done. I mean, we will have some discussion regarding it unless you need to hear them. No, everybody's fine.
Perfect, thank you, and I
Okay.
welcome any questions.
All right, thank you, Senior Development Officer Kirk. Yeah, my personal opinion on this is that it is too large for that site. I like the idea of a daycare there, but that many people is going to be an issue. I was hoping there could be drop off at the front instead of the rear, and I understand the reasons for not being there. But I think the 105 is just too much for that back alley, especially at that time frames at 5:30 and so on. I think the traffic would be terrible in the lane, to be honest with you. And without enough parking even for staff, I think that's an issue. So that's my opinion. Member Ross.
Thank you, Chair Goldson. I do absolutely concur with the same. There was a traffic committee quite many years ago, and I think 50th Ave at the time was like 7,000 to 9,000 vehicles a day. Drop off at either side. I think it's just the volume is too. And I believe in being consistent with previous decisions of purpose of that volume of purpose of this site. The public hearing of the gallery was rightful when it came to the Dances Edge decision, and it was based on comparable volumes, and it was just the impact at this specific within this residential area was just too much. And you, as being on council second term, you definitely remember full galleries, and but I completely supported the last purpose of under a far lower volume that was a discretionary use, and it's disappointed that that didn't work out. But this building has been a challenge. I sympathize with the owners, but I do not agree with that. It's just the volume of that's intended is way too significant. I fear that people, even though the instructions are to pick up in the back of the building, not everybody in this volume is going to comply, and there's already traffic issues downtown of pedestrian safety, and I think you don't want anybody to get hit, but it's that much more devastating and impactful when a child is injured. And with that, I'd like to make the recommendation that administration does not support the application and recommends the following resolutions. The resolutions that were stated by our planning and development. I don't think I need to read them all as we did earlier, but that is my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Ross. Any other comments? No?
Pick me.
Ah, Senior Development Officer Kirk.
Thank you, Chairperson Gullickson. So I do want to touch on that. I have been working with the applicant. He reduced the numbers from 120 down to 90. I've asked if it's possible to reduce them any further, and I do not think it is due to financing from the bank. I also asked if it was doable to decrease the outdoor play area and make room for more on-site parking, but he really wants to stay forward with this proposal for the size that he has and request that 10-stall parking variance. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you very much. I was sure that you would be helping them as much as you could. I know that already. Yeah, I think it's too high a volume. Is the application, you're here? Did you want to speak at all to? Certainly, please do. Yeah. You know how we feel now about the parking and the numbers, so, yeah. Mhm.
I would just would like to make a couple of comments.
Could you state your name, please?
Maria. My name is Maria Pershina.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So we have already well-established facility, which we opened 2 years ago. This is our 3rd year already in Red Deer. So we run Montessori program there, and all those numbers, what we mentioned right now in our applications, kind of wishful thinking, which we hope to accomplish in a couple of years. Of course, we do not expect that the capacity is going to be full right away. We are going to reach our capacity right away. So, but we also have some kind of limited parking, spaces back in Red Deer. And what we implemented the policy when parents, they supposed to notify us like 10-15 minutes prior of pick up or drop off that they are coming, especially at the time of a pickup. So, and now we trained our parents so well that they just texting us at prior like 10 minutes before arrival, and then by the moment when they arrive, the child already all set up to go. So it takes literally a couple of minutes for them to pick up their children and drop them off. So this part, I think we would be able to tuck in. I think that if we will be allowed again to use backup lane, or even front of the building. But again, it's up to you. We have very beautiful program, guys, and I truly believe that Lacombe will benefit from our program. But yeah, decision is up to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with you about benefiting Lacombe. I would love to see you come here with your business, but I'm afraid that, in my opinion, it's just too much for that property.
Yeah, but
and I would
again,
like you to, I would love you to come here and to Lacombe and open at another location for sure. But that one is just so much trouble in the alley there right now. So
yeah, I agree. But what do you think would be the I don't know, the maximum number, like capacity for that facility, for that place? I mean, what would it be?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that would be, and you'd have to work with our planning commission to come up with something that would be viable for there.
Okay.
I would be substantially less than you're talking about, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's
so I mean, it's and just for my own benefit, how long would it be before they could reapply if they changed some things?
So if the application is refused, they would have to wait 6 months. If we defer it to a future meeting, then we just have to get them to sign the time extension agreement to allow us to do that. I will say, though, that there was a daycare in a residential that was a bit smaller than this building, and they had a maximum of 40 kids, but they did have parking and availability all around the site. So somewhat of an example.
So, I mean, we don't want to restrict you on your business too much, because you'll have a number that is viable for you, right? Correct? So I don't know what that lower number is for you to make a viable start on this daycare, because we certainly don't want to say 40 and you need 60 to make it work.
Yeah. Okay, but this is something what we can work around anyway. That's what I think. If it's possible, I mean, if there is a room for us to work on those numbers, that, yeah, I would love to have that opportunity.
Senior Development
Thank
Officer
you.
Kurt, what
Yeah.
can we do here now as far as that goes? We,
So the Municipal Planning Commission can defer this to a future meeting, so I can try to work further with the applicant. This is his wife, so I've been dealing with,
Mhm.
with the applicant. I have asked him several times to reduce it, and he said it's not really a possibility, so I could try working again, or MPC can approve it and limit it to a maximum capacity, and the applicant could appeal that if it was too low.
Yeah. But you really don't know that number right at this time, right? That would be viable for you? That would be your lowest number?
Not
N-
yet.
not-
Yeah,
not yet,
yet.
no.
Well, we need to work with it together, like with my husband. We need to discuss it with him.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor now. So what our procedure would be to
Mhm.
do what?
So you'll have to vote on that motion. We'll see what comes of that and then move forward, or
So if we defeat the motion or we vote for that motion, which is to not allow the development,
Mhm.
does that stop it right then?
yeah, it would be refused. So the applicant can appeal that to the Regional Subdivision and Development Appeal Board.
Right, and in this case, I think you would like it deferred so that you can make some changes potentially.
Sure.
Okay, what is our options to do that?
So I think we would have to vote on the motion on the floor. And if that doesn't pass as denied, then we would make another motion to defer to a future meeting.
Okay, we can do that in that order. All right. Any other discussion regarding the motion? Member Kent.
Thank you, Chair Gullickson. I like the site for a daycare.
How do you do?
I think it's a very, so I guess we're looking at a parking variance only. Is that the only holdup, is a parking variance? And hold it, if it is only, that's 29%, it's high, but not out of hand. Is the garden necessary? And if the garden wasn't necessary or partially taken away, can you move some of the play area and increase a couple of the stalls in the parking area? But overall, I think it's an excellent location. There was a school, there was an outreach school, there was a church there, which I would assume at one time had a lot more people attend than the daycare. So I'd hate to see this go away. I think the building is empty. It's been empty for a really long time. Eventually, somebody's going to have to knock it down if it doesn't get used.
Mhm.
They deteriorate much faster. So it's sad. It's sad if something like this can't go in that building.
Thank you, Member Kintz. Member Ross.
Thank you, Chair Gullickson. This boils down to business relating to your investment, which you require X amount of kids to make the business viable. But we have a presentation before us and with X amount of kids that you presented to us, and that I think we need to stay focused on making the decision that's presented before us. To go into a gray area of numbers, I think we're putting more responsibility on amending a decision that's kind of beyond what our responsibility is. We're here to make a decision on what is presented to us. I think there's obviously a business plan with what dollars are invested and what you're going to need to renovate this and for your investment. I respect that. That's why you've come upon this number of children to make your business decision. I just, and there again, it's kind of a personal, but with the alley and residential, and unfortunately this church was built within a residential, and now the owners of the property are having to deal with this. When there was outreach, there was far less than 90 people plus 15 or 20 staff. And they were older children that hopefully had more common sense for pedestrian safety than young children. So I think we still need to stay focused on what's presenting us. So we are, when you start deferring and an MPC board making decisions on the number of children, I don't think that's MPC's role to change the business plan. That's the responsibility of the applicant. And I think you need to stay focused on what we're putting deferrals of responsibilities on our planning department and our MPC board that is irrelevant. Your business plan is your business, not ours. So I think you need to stay focused on what's brought before us.
Thank you, Member Ross. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I will call the question on that then. All those in favor? I agree with that. Okay, opposed? Member Kents? Okay, now you say we can do a motion for deferral. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So is anybody, I can make that motion, can I not? Yes. Okay, I will make a motion that we defer the decision. Is that correct? The right wording? Yes. To allow the applicant to meet with planning to have a revised number to bring forward to us at a later date. Okay, because the number of kids is just too high for us, so. Okay. All right, any further discussion on that? Oh, you good? Okay, then all those in favor of deferring? Member opposed? Yep, Member Ross. Okay, that's carried. So you'll work with planning to come up with a new plan for that. Thank you very much. I really would love your business to be here in town somewhere. So we hope not to lose you because it certainly is a need in our community, which you probably already know that from your investigations. So the location is very difficult though. So it is a tough spot.
Sorry, if I may interrupt. I think we made a mistake here. If we have 2 people voting for refusal and only 1 for no, then the application is technically refused. Yeah, so we would all have to vote to allow it to be deferred in order for it to pass that way.
So it is not deferred.
Correct.
So now they have to wait 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's what will happen, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, you okay? Hopefully you find a new spot in town. I hope so. Yes. Thank you for coming forward. All right, well, there you go. We learned something today. Nice, yeah. We're all new at this, right? What can I say? Not really, but okay. We'll move on to then 4.2, accessory residential building with variances. And this Senior Development Officer Kirk again. And I believe this one was in front of us before. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chair Gullickson. Item 4.2 is an accessory residential building with variances at 16 Taylor Drive. So the applicant applied for the development permit for a detached garage with variances to be constructed at 16 Taylor Drive. The original application was presented to MPC on August 21st this year, where we deferred the application to allow the applicant time to revise his plans and better fit the land use bylaw. So the applicant has now submitted revised plans for your consideration. The property is zoned residential detached narrow district R1N, which provides an area for residential development in the form of detached dwellings and compatible uses on narrow lots. Administration does not support the application. So the commission's decision tonight is on 3 variances. The first one is lot coverage variance. So the garage is not to cover no more than 15% of the lot. Under the original application, it was proposed to cover 25% of the lot, and under the revised application, it's proposed to cover 22% of the lot. Next one is a size variance. So the bylaw says that the size of the garage should not exceed 70 meters squared. The original application was for 112.7 meters squared, and the revised application is for 99.59 meters squared. And then the third one is a height variance. So the bylaw says that the height of the garage should not exceed the height of the house. The original application was 9.77 meters in height and required a 23% variance. And the revised application is 9.15 meters in height, which requires a 15% variance. 32 property owners were notified. One response that was notified of the revised plans, just to clarify. 1 response was received in support and 5 responses were received in opposition. So the support, we agree to the proposed building plans and wish him well during development. So administration doesn't have a response to that. And then concerns, so there's height concerns. The proposed height may result in overshadowing, reducing natural light, and affecting the privacy of adjacent properties, including my own. The height is too tall and will look out of place in a residential area. And again, the height of the building is a problem. The height should be in line with the other garages on either side of the back alley. Administration's response is that the applicant is requesting a 15% variance to allow the garage to be 1.19 meters higher than the house. The garage would be larger and taller than other garages in the neighborhood, as there is no record of a permit for a garage of this size in the immediate area. And this proposal is not compatible in scale to the residential developments. So concerns that the proposed height would materially interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring parcels of land. There was overcrowding concerns, so the proposed increase in lot coverage and size of the garage could result in overcrowding of the lot, reducing the available open space and altering the overall appearance of the property in a way that is inconsistent with the surrounding homes. And then there was precedent-setting concerns that approving such significant variances could set a precedent for future developments in our neighborhood, potentially leading to further requests that could undermine the intent of our zoning regulations and degrade the character of the area. So administration's response is that based on a site visit to the property and there being no record of a permit for a garage of this size in the immediate area, the development would be inconsistent with the surrounding homes. So under the land use bylaw, MPC is authorized to consider and decide upon variances greater than 15%, discretionary uses, or any other application that the development officer refers to. MPC can grant variances if you're satisfied that the variance will comply with the Municipal Government Act, the Subdivision and Development Regulation, the Safety Codes Act, and any other applicable stat plans or outline plans adopted by council. And MPC can approve an application even if it does not comply with the land use bylaw, as long as you feel that the proposed development would not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood, would not materially interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring parcels, or if it conforms to the use prescribed for the subject parcel in the bylaw. Proposal. The detached garage is proposed to be located in accordance with the land use bylaw setback requirements. However, it does require variances to lot coverage, size, and height. Lot coverage. So accessory buildings in the R1N district are to cover no more than 15% of the lot. And accessory buildings includes sheds, garages, carports, those sorts of things. The original application proposed a 112.7 meter square garage, which would have covered 25% of the lot and required a 67% lot coverage variance. The revised application proposes a 99.59 meter square garage, which is 13.11 meters squared smaller than the original proposal. And it would cover 22% of the lot and require a 47% lot coverage variance, which is 20% less than the original variance request. Size. Accessory buildings are supposed to be smaller than the principal building or the house on the site, but should not individually exceed 70 meters squared. Under the original application, the house was proposed to be 122.39 meters squared, as it included a deck expansion, and the garage was proposed to be 112.7, which was 42.7 meters squared larger than the land use bylaw allowed and required a 61% variance. Under the revised application, the house is proposed to be 112.78, as it no longer includes the proposed deck expansion. And the garage is proposed to be 99.59 meters squared, which is 59.59 meters squared larger than what the bylaw allows and requires a 42% size variance. Height. Accessory buildings aren't supposed to exceed the height of the house. The original application proposed a 9.77 meter high garage, which was 1.81 meters higher than the house and required a 23% height variance. And under the revised application, a 9.15 meter high garage is being proposed, which is 0.62 meters shorter than the original proposal. And it will be 1.19 meters higher than the house and require a 15% height variance. That variance is 8% less than the original variance request. So the allowance for variance powers in the land use bylaw is to provide discretion to a development authority when a development may not be able to comply with the regulations. Variances recognize that not all properties are the same, and in some cases, a development may not be able to happen without a variance being granted. The applicant has indicated in the letter of intent that the purpose of the building is to store personal items and that it requires the variances to accommodate the landowner's 10-foot tall van with rooftop storage racks. to provide enough space around the van to allow for items to be moved in and out as needed, to allow for overall garage usability, and to provide the landowner's wife with enough space to move vehicles in and out of the structure. Administration has considered the requirements for all R1N properties in the land use bylaw, has reviewed the application and has visited the property, but is not able to identify reasons that the property is unique in a way that warrants the need for the 3 variance requests. The lot does not contain any topographical features or unique factors which prevent the proposal from complying with the bylaw. It is administration's recommendation that MPC refuse the development permit for the accessory building with variances. Thank you, and I am open to any questions.
Thank you very much, Senior Development Officer Kirk. Appreciate that. Member Ross.
Thank you, Chair Gullikson. So I know there's garages that are this big along other areas of the city, and yet you could plant trees that are of very significant height and short growing time frame, or you could build a modified by house that is significantly that's comparable height, correct? Like some modified buys structurally would be as high as this proposed garage, but not, unfortunately, this house is not a modified buy, right?
Yeah, correct. And it depends on what the lot is zoned, depending on height and size and whatnot.
True. So it's kind of, I can, obviously you need, a 12, 14-foot door. I kind of question the extra between the glass and the door, and yet there's other lots that I know that are quite like it's almost like a shop, and this is as well. So yeah, it's you compare an immediate area to what others across the city have also done as well, and I can see both sides as consistency, but there are other lots around the city that do have comparable sizes of garages. So that's it.
Thank you, Member Ross. I just, well, you're the applicant, I assume. Is that correct? Yep. You can turn on the mic if you wish. Thank you very much. And can you state your name, please?
My name is Jacob Vanderswan from 16 Taylor Drive.
Thank you very much. The upstairs, it's not just a garage, correct?
So I wish I would have brought my vans because everybody could see how big they are.
Mhm.
And basically, the reductions in consideration, I went to an engineer and I met with the neighbors as reasonably as possible. And the biggest thing was overshadow concerns on their property. And so we made the reductions with the key factor was, so there would be no loss of light or anything else for any of the neighbors and within reasonable privacy issues. I was able to, what is it called? The word I'm looking for, Wolf Creek Truss. We worked with the engineer from Wolf Creek Truss, so I got 4 inches to get my vans in. So we strengthened the truss, and so I can still get my vans in without I think I'm 4 and 5 inches, and I can still get my vans in there with my roof racks. The issues that other neighbors have is the business. So I'm a refrigeration mechanic, okay? And ineffectively communicating with the neighbors is that there will be no business done at 16 Taylor Drive, and there has been no business done at 16 Taylor Drive since 2008 when I purchased the property. All the work I do is on site at every location. It's mobile. You don't take a refrigeration system off a roof and take it back. All the work is remote. There is no shop there. There's no way I can work on anything. Everything I do is remote. And majority of my work is industrial at Ole Mill and Everaz and all these sites where I go there and I fix their stuff on site. That's my job. So I have done all these things and communicated effectively with the majority of my neighbors who know me. And the biggest factors were privacy, overshadowing with any sunshine, and I can understand that. That's why we made the reductions. And basically, all I'm asking for at the end of the day is that I can park my diesel vans inside, because I pay an astronomically amount of money every year dealing with dead batteries, DEF tanks that freeze and split, and all the challenges with people who own diesels in Alberta at -40. So I've done the best that I can with the engineering and with the draftsman to get something that is something I can actually use. And that is, at the end of the day, that is my goal. It's something that, for what I do and for what I drive and for what I need for my wife, because she's got eyesight challenges, I'm trying to accommodate a bunch of stuff, and I believe I found the best balance I can within reason. So proper design, proper engineering, meeting with people, communicating effectively. And this is what I've come up with.
Thank you very much for that. Just a quick question though, like the garage itself, there's something above the garage, is that not right?
So basically, we have lifted up the spot. Okay, so basically above the garage, I think we're gonna have 5 feet for general storage. So with the trusses and the compressed trusses, I still think we're going to have what we call as head hitters. It's not enough. It's not enough to barely stand up unless you are of a certain age and shortness. So basically, we've just had that, so we can put some stuff up there. But at the end of the day, because of the height and because the engineer needs those cross beams for support, that's what we've done. So basically, insulation and all those regulations with the engineering requires me to have those cross members across because of the height, and they also want a thickened slab and down posts. So I have, with the drawings and everything, I've done everything that the engineers have requested.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Member Kent?
Thank you, Chair Gulleton. So my comments are, if the rendering drawings would be of higher quality, I think you would see a different picture. I agree with Member Ross again on it's twice in a month. I think I agree with him. There are a lot of garages in town that are actually a lot bigger than this. Fairly. I mean, I might own one, but it's low, so it matches the house. But yeah, for RV storage is a big one. There must be a dozen or so around town, so that would match this. But if the rendering was a little cleaner, I think you would see the bigger picture in here. But he definitely reduced substantially some of the variances. And I understand there's not a lot of places to lease in town. And sometimes you have to bring your work vehicles home. So
may I? Okay, so what I've done in the meantime to accommodate the neighbors is we have made the point of bringing no trailers home under any circumstances. And the other thing I'd like to clarify, which was one of the concerns of the neighbors, was the dropping off of commercial parts to the house. Okay, and I made it clear to the neighbors that all parts, commercial, industrial, go directly to location. 16 Taylor Drive is not a business residence. I live there. I don't want parts dropped off of my house or any circumstances. But with business, when parts are ordered, they have to be on site ASAP so we can bill and invoice them as, hey, your parts are on site and we bill an invoice. So there will be no commercial vehicles on 16 on Taylor Drive or in any part delivering anything to this house under any circumstances whatsoever. It's just not the way things are done. Now, the one thing I could eliminate is my stepdaughter's freaking Amazon orders, then I'd be really happy. But, you know, there's only a few things that I can actually do. But at the end of the day, I just have to be reasonable with my neighbors, effectively communicate, which, by the way, Jennifer, is very hard to do. It's extremely difficult to do. And trying to overcome nuances where I understand the neighbors don't want business done in their neighborhood because it's a residential, and I 100% agree with them.
Well, thank you
But
for that. And I'm going to just make a statement. I don't mind your business being there. I don't mind you having your commercial vehicles there and working, you know, out of your house and going, but because of the nature of your business, it's not obtrusive to anybody. So I don't think the business side of it is an issue at all. It's the building, to me, that is the issue. But the business side of it is not, in my opinion.
well, my
an issue.
neighbors disagree with you.
Well, they do, but that's my opinion.
Thank you.
So I think your business, it's great that you're able to work out of your house like that. And the majority of your, obviously, the majority of your work is offsite on the sites, not at your home. So it's just storage of vehicles. So I appreciate that very much. Member Roth.
Thank you, Chair Gulkson. I guess I just ask for Ms. Kirk, can you advise me on to support this? Obviously, there's a recommendation to oppose it. To some wording on to approve it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because obviously you've got a recommendation to not withdraw for the following reasons. So all the respective process, possibly we have alternate motions within council that covers both scenarios. The majority of the time, I think boards, commissions, councils, probably more than 50% support the recommendations, but there's also more options. So what would be a wording of an option to support this, please?
Yes, thank you, Member Ross. So I do have a approval resolution at the end of the slideshow here, and I'm prepared. It does have conditions that are typical for an accessory building. So it would be resolved that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the development permit for an accessory residential building, 99.59 meter square detached garage, with a 47% lot coverage variance, a 42% size variance, and a 15% height variance proposed to be constructed at 16 Taylor Drive, subject to the following 10 conditions. Do you want me to read them out?
Are you aware of the conditions?
He would
Well, you're already.
Please, can you just take a few minutes and just read them out, please?
Absolutely.
Please.
Thank
All
you.
right, condition number 1, this permit indicates that only development to which it relates is authorized with the provisions of the land use bylaw and in no way relieves or excuses compliance with the land use bylaw or any other bylaws, orders, and or regulations, including but not limited to the Safety Codes Act, building permit bylaw, and business license bylaw affecting such development. So that one is just saying that you have to follow all the other bylaws and rules. All development must conform to the conditions of this development permit and the approved plans and any revisions thereto as required pursuant to this approval. Any revisions to the approved plans must be approved by the development authority. So that one's saying that this is the only approval you have. If you make changes, you have to come to us again.
Yes, ma'am.
Applicant is to obtain a valid building permit prior to construction of the garage. Condition 4, applicant to obtain any required secondary permits. So that's your electrical, plumbing, and or gas. Condition number 5, the garage shall not be used as a secondary dwelling unit, rental unit, or to provide overnight accommodations unless a separate development permit has been obtained.
Yes, ma'am.
Condition number 6, the garage shall not be used as a home-based business. No business-related activities are permitted to take place from the structure or subject site unless a separate development permit has been obtained. Number 7, ensure that no vehicles and or equipment are parked in the rear lane, that back alley. Number 8, the garage shall remain subordinate to the residential uses on site.
What does that mean?
It means that your garage can't be the main use on your site. So you can't have a full-blown business in it and then your house is the smaller use on site. So we want to keep it residential.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Number 9, ensure the garage matches or complements the house in color and materials. And number 10, ensure the exterior of the garage, including paint, is completed within 12 months from the date of issue of the building permit. And then there are notes that this doesn't agree, or that the approval is not subject to any other caveats or anything that you might have registered on the land title. So I don't think you would have any on yours, but just make sure that if it is approved, that you don't have anything on your title preventing you from building this. The permit is valid for a period of 12 months. So if at the expiry of the period, the development has not been commenced with reasonable diligence, the permit is no longer valid. The development officer may, in accordance with Section 645 of the Municipal Government Act, take such action as is necessary to ensure that the bylaw and permit are complied with. So that could, if you were to build something totally different, then we could enforce under the MGA.
Yes, ma'am.
And floor drain and garage floor slab may not be connected to city services.
Yes, ma'am.
Ensure the garage is not located over an easement or utility right of way. And then before you build, contact utility safety partners. Find out where your lines are. There you go.
Yeah, because I want to break a gap.
Thank you very much for that. That was very long, but I appreciate you reading them all out. Okay, we don't, are you ready to make the motion then?
So if I may make that motion as Ms. Kirk has read, is that, can that, without having to repeat this, would be gratefully appreciated.
With the 10
Well done,
variances
thank
in
you.
place. Thank you very much, Member Ross. I'd like to speak to that motion now. I disagree with it. I think the building is way too large for the lot. I don't dispute that, you know, bringing your vehicles home and having your business kind of based out of there. I love that. I mean, I had a company vehicle at home all the time when I worked for ATCO, and I mean, it was just the way it was, right? So, I mean, I appreciate that very much, but I think the building is just too large for this property. So, and that's my personal opinion. But thank you for bringing this forward. Any other further comments regarding this? No? We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So the one question I do have is that it does talk about the building being the same as the house. This is just me talking.
Yes, sir.
None of your drawings show that, right? Or is it?
So may I just have some clarification?
Mhm.
Same as the house. What do you mean?
Same, didn't you mention it has to be the same?
Same color or materials,
Yeah,
or match or
materials.
complement.
Okay,
So are
so
you
it will be?
proposing to have
It-
the siding red like the house?
It will be, so, sorry, I caught off guard here. Just give me a second to
Mhm.
process. Just give me a second to process, because, just give me a second. Okay, so according to the draftsman, it will be matching aesthetically exactly to the house to the best of my ability within reason.
Okay, I appreciate that. That's all we can ask.
And
So I just have a concern with the building. I think we're going to get some feedback on this.
absolutely,
from
and
the people that
at the end of the day, we'll just go through what I call as due process,
Okay,
and
we'll do
we'll
that.
go through the procedures as requested.
Good.
And I mean, this is what it is. We go through due process, and that's how it goes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, on to the next item on our agenda, the easier items. Next meeting date, October 16th. And do you have any permits that you want to?
We will have likely at least 2 applications to
Okay.
present.
Excellent, good. All right. Okay, and nothing else, Senior Development Officer? You got everything? And there's no list of permits that you approved or anything?
None this time.
Just been sitting around doing nothing? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nope, we have appeal periods ending today, so you will be notified at the next meeting.
Okay, at the next meeting. All right, thank you. All right, appreciate that. I need Member Kintz.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. It was